Hello, this is Marge Maxwell to discuss my LME 448 Genius project. The world goal was to support global displaced individuals. The targets of this goal are 1. Continuous, sufficient, and predictable funding for refugee crises. 2. Ensure priority of saving lives. 3. Combat xenophobia and discrimination. In Section 1, I explored this goal and learned that in the last decade there are about 80 million refugees because of conflict, violence, persecution, poverty, and food insecurity. They are searching for safety and new opportunities. What is a refugee? Someone who has been forced to flee his or her own country because of persecution, war, or violence. It is a well-founded fear of persecution for numerous reasons, and they cannot return home or they are afraid to do so. What is the refugee crisis? It rises 3.5% each year. The countries from which most refugees come from are Syria, Afghanistan, and South Sudan. About 3.3 million are associated with disasters in 110 countries and territories. This is my mind map about the causes of the refugee crisis, which include persecution, hunger, gender and sexual orientation, financial hardships, violation of human rights, climate change, and war. I have numerous charts and tables on my website. This one is about accelerating the human cost of war and the number of people displaced every day since 2010. 15 conflicts have erupted or reignited in the past 5 years, displacing tens of millions of people. There are many refugees also in the United States. The U.S. has a ceiling on how many they will admit, and that number has declined in the last 10 years. Over the decades, the American people have mixed feelings about accepting refugees because of what we call xenophobia, or a fear of accepting people who are different from them. Locally, in Bowling Green, Kentucky, we have the International Center, which began in 1981. They have assisted more than 10,000 refugees to the United States and Kentucky, and my website gives much more information about the local efforts for this goal. In Section 2, it is about understanding and interpreting your goal.
As I know you've probably learned in your classrooms, more than 60 million people are displaced.
This is Samantha Power, who is the U.S. ambassador to the UN. I'm not going to play the whole video now, but it is on my website. She gives a very good overview of this crisis. I did a survey and had 27 responses, and I give more of the results on my website and discuss those. How important is it for America to accept refugees seeking to escape? For the various reasons. And you see, most people want to accept people who are a violation of human rights, or they're trying to escape war or hunger. In my analysis, I found that 73% feel it is important for the U.S. to accept refugees escaping hunger and persecution. 77% feel it is important for the U.S. to accept refugees escaping violation of human rights. 85% feel it is a fundamental right of people to seek refuge to escape war or persecution. In Section 3, I am brainstorming advocacy strategies for this goal. This is a e-magazine that I put together about priority solutions for the refugee crisis. We should have a priority of saving lives. We want to combat xenophobia and racism. This full e-magazine can be seen on my website. So how can you help? Advocate for and educate students about refugee and cultural understanding in schools. Stopping state level and national level anti-refugee legislation. Get involved in a local refugee resettlement center like the one in Bowling Green. In Section 4, I developed my advocacy strategy for this goal. Developing an advocacy strategy from global solutions. One global solution is to combat xenophobia, or a dislike of or prejudice against people from other countries. 2, educate our students to understand and respect people from other cultures and countries. I created a lesson plan to teach children about the global refugee crisis and respect for cultures different from their own. So I give the full lesson plan on my website. I also created what we call an ed puzzle where you have a video and you stop it and ask questions. And I created that to use with my students in my lesson plan. I tested my advocacy strategy for this goal by teaching 3 high school students. They asked thought-provoking responses and asked more questions. Their reactions were disbelief that America would turn away refugees in St. Louis. They were very interested in the humanizing refugees and learning more about them. Part of the lesson was to create their own video. I also created a Google Earth tour about refugees from different countries. And this is the sample video. So I won't play the whole video. Hopefully that will whet your appetite and you go look at it on my website. And this concludes my video. Are there any questions?